Hi, everyone. Hope all is well with you. I am so happy to greet you in this new year, 2022. I really hope this is a year of healing and renewed prosperity for everybody. I trust you had a safe and a smooth transition from the old into the new. I'm really excited to work on other projects related to ancestral heritage, and I look forward to sharing with you on ancestral connections and appetite for discussion, TT. Let's dive straight into this week's Trinidad Bhojpuri Words and Phrase. I'm Karen Das.
And I'm Dr. Visham Bhimull from Caribbean Hindustani.
Well, Happy New Year to you, Dr. Bhimull. By the way, how do you say Happy New Year in Trinidad Bhojpuri?
So it's Nawa Baris ke Badhai. Right? Nawa is new, Baris year, and Badhai means congratulations. So congratulations of the new year. That's literally what you're saying.
Oh, great. Good to know. And we did Badhai during the Diwali season. So many of you will remember that. Let's get started with our first word we featured previously. It was AAKAAS, which was featured on Monday. So AAKAAS, many people got this one, right?
Yeah, so I mean, because it sounds close to the Hindi cognate, which is Akash, I guess everybody would have gotten it. So this word is an example of how the Hindi Sha becomes Sa in Bhojpuri. So Akash, Akas.
And basically means sky. Some said heavenly abode or celestial place, which relates to the same. Yeah. All right. And on Tuesday last, there was something in the air. DHUAA was featured last week.
I don't know if you remember Mission Kashmir. There's a song with that name. DHUAA, he DHUAA. Right? It's nasal. It's the same word in Hindi and it means smoke.
Would it also mean dust?
No, dhul is dust. So probably there's some relationship with the dha, but there's a separate word for dust. Well, it's dhul in Hindi, but dhur in Bhojpuri. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Because I noted some respondents said dust.
Again, that is the reason for that is because of the context they probably would have heard the word in. Particles of smoke, yeah.
All right. And on Wednesday, well, I think everybody should know this one because we say it most times, especially when someone asks, how are you doing? How things? How's life? And we just say, dheere, dheere.
Right. So the noun is dheera, well, adjective, slow. Normally we will inflect the adjective in the A in Hindi and Bhojpuri, but I guess each of them have their own specific rules. So dheera becomes dheere, which means slowly. Sometimes we say with it dheere se, and then well, dheere dheere means slowly, slowly or gradually, gradually. But it really means slowly. In Patwa they say poka pok, kapuk.
Yes.
Right, which is the Trinidad Patwa equivalent to dheere dheere.
And easy go, easy.
Well, coming to come, that's how we say it in English Creole.
Yeah, coming to come. All right. And on Thursday, Balamuwwa was featured, and most folks said beloved, and others were very specific to mean a male companion or male lover. Does it have is it gender specific?
Yeah, so there's the wa at the end, which is typical of Bhojpuri. It occurs in Hindi, but I guess if they use it within a particular context, right? Village versus in term of endearment. The wa at the end or ia is usually a suffix you add for term of endearment. I think we had discussed it already. My nanny would call my cousin Adishwa and Sudishwa. So at a term of endearment, it could be pejorative, meaning that it basically looking down on the person. Um, in this context, the original word is balam, right? Balam in Hindi and Bhojpuri is yes, male beloved, and again the wa ending or the wa ending is added to masculine nouns, so that's why I have balamuwa, right? There's another would be another word for female beloved, and then usually you would add the ia. So usually words that are perceived to be as feminine would add ia, or it depends on what they end in. I just want to note here that Trinidad Bhojpuri, unlike Hindi, Spanish, or French, doesn't have a grammatical gender. It's just like English. So it's more on
So,
the ending, more on the if the ending is a consonant, a vowel, a consonant or a vowel.
all right. So to say Balamawa, you can refer to a male or female according to Trinidad Bhojpuri. If you said Balamawa,
No, because Balam is male beloved specifically, and you add any wa to the end. Um, remember, at the end of the day, even though you do have a grammatical gender, just like I guess as English speakers could reflect, you have bull versus cow. So there are words that would be masculine as in a actual sex gender, and with regard to addition of these suffixes, you tend to add those uh like for instance kukur, which is dog. A male dog would be kukurwa, and you have kukuria, which is a female dog. So just like so balam is specifically masculine beloved. So for the same reason you add wa and not ia, or you cannot add balamia. It doesn't exist. Again, because not a is not a female sex gender. The actual sex is not female.
all right. So, and of course, there was some reference to chutney songs. So, hearing the word Balamawa used, one that
And
comes to
Bollywood
mind, Hero
and
Land
Bollywood
Rapper.
and yeah, and Bollywood as well. I mean I could have give the example of the female equivalent, but remember we could probably use that for another segment. So yeah.
Good. All right. And on Friday, we usually wrap up with a food related word. And this was so interesting. We went with the word jata, and many felt it was related to go or going or gone. Many made reference to the here, and just a few mentioned a grinding tool or hand mill.
The lock of hair is jata, not jata, jata, and it's not the tip of the tongue to the teeth, but to the hard palate, jata. So I could see where the confusion is. That's a lock of hair, right? Lord Shiva is always described with matted locks. So jata is like that. Those sorts are matted locks, right? So a lock of a matted lock, that was a jata. I guess there are a lot of songs with jata, which is the present participle, present tense of the verb jana to go in Hindi. But in Bhojpuri, jana becomes jaye to go, right? Mangi jaye, I want to go. So I could see where the confusion would have been there. Again, there's specific to the context of how you're brought up. I know exactly what a jata is because I would have seen it. The actual word in Hindi is chakki, chalti chakki, which is a kabir saki. Chakki again comes from chakra, which means a disc or a round object, a wheel, yes. But we call it jata, and I'll explain. This is where now you could see where Bhojpuri and Hindi kind of split, because Bhojpuri came from the Eastern vernacular of Sanskrit, which would have its own cultural orientation and context of how the words will be passed down and the meaning, and Hindi. So chakra, which is a Sanskrit word, would have given rise to chakki, right? Semblance of two round things like wheels. The Sanskrit yantra. We all know mantra and tantra, right? Yantra is a symbol, mantra is a formula, or it could be an instrument, right? Same roots of words, yantra, mantra, tantra, right? But it's different aspects or things utilized to achieve something. So yantra is an instrument. The ya in Bhojpuri always becomes ja, yogi versus jogi, right? You would hear yogi in Hindi, but there's jogi in Trinidad Bhojpuri. So in the Eastern vernacular of Sanskrit or Magadhi Prakrit, the ya becomes ja, so yantra becomes jantra, and then eventually jantara, and then jata. So it originally in the spoken Sanskrit meant a instrument, right? Because that I think there was also things used in the sonar caste of people who would use instruments that would have similar names. So a jata in Hindi is nasal jant or janta, but I think it's lost in Trinidad, jata and Suriname, even in Guyana. So jata is basically the two grinding stones we'd use to, that's PC, I guess, yeah. Grind
Great.
grains to make whatever, because when they had to make satwa and they had to grind the grains, I guess they would have probably used that. And then to make rice flour, to make wheat flour, they would utilize that as well. You could go on Caribbean Hindustani, there's a little write up on it and some videos of it being used in Trinidad and other parts of the diaspora.
And also with regard to the spelling of jata, because some places you'd see it spelled with an H, jata. And I think that was partly why some people got it confused.
Right. So what you tend to find often is people aspirate in an attempt to get a correct accent, right? So certain consonants that are not aspirated, and I guess would be pronounced in a particular way in Trinidad Bhojpuri / Hindi, people would want to aspirate to try to mimic that sound, right? Another one is jari, where you lose it, jari, but you lose it and just get jari. So there are aspects where you would lose the aspirant and aspects where they add it. So I would have seen it spelled JH in an attempt to try to preserve the sound, but again, to English speaker, how Hindustani sounds, to them it's difficult to reproduce the actual sound. So in attempting that, you have some corruption in the actual sound, addition of a H or minus in a H aspirant.
And there you have it, another week's worth of Trinidad Bhojpuri Words and Phrase as we kick off a new year for this feature. So we have the other words up and running. We look forward to our weekly recaps with you. And as always, we enjoy the interaction as well. So Dr. Bhimull, as we wrap up, share your contact information.
Right. So for things like this and other aspects related to language and culture of the Indo-Caribbean people, you could go to Caribbean Hindustani, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and then the website, caribbeanhindustani.org.
All right, and this has been a KDC production in collaboration with Caribbean Hindustani. I am Karen Das.
And I'm Dr. Visham Bhimull of Caribbean Hindustani.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye.